Om Gam Ganapate Namaha, Kaliyugada Kalpataru, the fifth delight, Shri Raghavendra Gurusarvabhauma, Chapter 65, Coronation of Shri Raghavendra Tirtharu as the Emperor of Vedanta. The palace of Tanjore is adorned with fresh mango leaf festoons, banana stalks, colorful flag canopies, and floral garlands, making it resplendent. The Pranavadhwaja, that is sacred Om flag, flutters majestically atop the royal palace spire. Looking at it, one is reminded of a profound thought. Even in my infancy, I, the Omkara, symbolize the supreme Brahman, the Lord of the universe, whose infinite auspicious qualities are extolled by the external Vedas. Today, one who realized this truth as a child, one who has engaged in deep meditation and penance, and who has composed commentaries on the three Vedas that are otherwise impenetrable, is ascending the Paramahamsa Guru throne to guide noble souls towards the ultimate goal, liberation in the eternal bliss of the Supreme Lord. It is as if the Pranavadhwaja itself is waving and calling out, O virtuous one, come, witness this grand event and attain the fulfillment of your lives. The grandeur of the Royal Assembly Hall is beyond description. The expansive auditorium is exclusively decorated, captivating the minds and hearts of all who gazed upon it. From the ceiling, beautiful multicolored glass chandeliers, lanterns, and gem-studded candelabras hang gracefully, radiating brilliance akin to the celestial constellation and planetary clusters. The intricate floral arrangements of rare gems sparkle like the rising sun and moon, enchanting the onlookers. The hall is illuminated with suspended garlands of pearls and floral wreaths, which enhances the divine beauty of the celestial settings, leaving one in awe rather than attempting to describe it. The 8 majestic pillars of the Grand Assembly, adorned with artistic carvings, stand tall like the 8 guardian elephants supporting the directions of the universe. The royal stage, vast and elevated, gleams like the milk ocean in its pristine brilliance. At the center stand the golden throne of victory in Vedanta, decorated with golden swans, 5 auspicious water pots, and thousands of suspended gems, radiating the splendor of a serpent-hooded Anantashesha, the cosmic serpent supporting the universe. The jeweled festoons resembling the morning sun's crimson rays, mesmerizing the spectators. Seated nearby, awaiting the coronation, is the illustrious Shri Sudhindriyatigalu, his radiant lotus-like face beaming with joy. On the left side of the throne, seated on a golden and silver thrones, are King Raghunatha Bhupala, the crown prince of Madurai Tirumala Nayaka, along with the representatives of the Mysore kingdom, provincial chieftains, ministers, commanders, and noble dignitaries of the royal court. The council of wise men and noblemen of the capital are also seated on an exclusive chairs, witnessing this historical occasion. Pranavadhwaja Omkara flag symbolizes the Omkara, represents a supreme Brahman, whose glory is revealed through the Vedas. Its presence signifies the coronation of a saintly scholar who has attained supreme knowledge and is now leading others to enlightenment. The throne, representing Anantashesha, the golden throne, adorned with 1,000-hooded serpent motif, represents Sheshanaga, the cosmic serpent on whom Lord Vishnu rests. This symbolizes stability, wisdom, and the eternal support of the Guru Pita, that is, spiritual throne. Garlands representing the sun and moon. The suspended garlands resembling the sun and moonlight reflect divine illumination and knowledge spread across the world, much like the teachings of a great saint. In this passage captures the majestic coronation of Sri Venkatanatha as the head of the Vedanta empire, an event of spiritual, scholarly, and royal significance. On the right side of the garland and the grand stage, seated in orderly rows, were the eminent scholars of the royal court, the esteemed Pandits of the Srimata, poets and devout followers of the Dharma. In the front section of the stage, four smaller platforms gleamed brightly, occupied by Vedic scholars, Haridasas, vocalists, and instrumentalists such as Veena, Venu, that is Veena players and flute players. Leading up to this platform, a grand pathway extending to the royal entrance was adorned with rows of jewel encrusted pillars, Ratna Kambas. To the left, seats were occupied by Vedic and worldly scholars from various regions, including those from Tanjore. To the right, the seats were taken by noble women from royal families, renowned musicians, and literary artists of the capital. Behind the main stage, within the curtained enclosure, were seated the queens and women of the royal household, along with the key members of the inner palace retinue. From the royal gates to the main stage, armed guards dressed in uniform stood in disciplined formation, ensuring order. In front of the main stage, the gatekeepers of both the royal court and the grand monastery, adorned with gold and silver staff, stood in majestic readiness. The resplendent royal assembly, with all its grandeur, radiated like the celestial court of Indra, filling the atmosphere with immense joy and reverence. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, the revered Guru, was eagerly awaiting the arrival of the new ascetic, engaging in conversation with his close disciples. Following the orders of King Raghunatha Bhupala, ministers, military commanders, eminent scholars, and the royal priest stood near the royal gate with sacred pots, that is, Purna Kumbhas, ready to receive and welcome the newly initiated ascetic with great honor. Thousands of men and women, unable to gain entry into the royal assembly hall, lined up along the outer sections of the palace, anxiously waiting for a glimpse of the new saint. Mounted cavalry units patrolled the area to manage the growing crowds, while hundreds of armed soldiers in uniform stood in two rows along the main path. The magnificent display of colors, joyous celebrations, and the festive atmosphere were beyond description. From a distance, the victory trumpets, that is, kahale, war drums, dundubi, auspicious music, and resonant chants of the Vedas began to echo through the air. The citizens stood cheering with excitement. Accompanied by the entire council of scholars, dignitaries, and monastery officials, the newly anointed saint, seated in a golden palanquin, radiated with divine splendor, resembling none other than Shri Dattatreya himself. The public erupted in joyful chants as loud drums and musical instruments resounded from the royal orchestra. The palanquin, carrying the saintly ascetic, approached the royal gates. At that moment, as the Vedic chants intensified, Sri Yagnanarayana Dikshita, along with the royal priest, honored the new Guru with sacred offerings, that is, Hastalagava, ritualistic hand gesture of reverence. The ministers and commanders of the army bowed deeply, offering their salutations and welcome. As a sign of utmost respect, the chief ministers and commanders themselves held golden handled chamara fans, waving them gently. Sri Ramachandra Acharya and Lakshmi Narasimha Acharya carried the sacred yak tail whisks and followed closely behind the new ascetic. At the front of the procession, four golden staff bearers, that is, Suvarna Danda Dharis, led the way. Near the royal gate, auspicious women performed arti, ritual waving of lamps. To ward off any negative influences, the palace attendants broke earthen pots, a traditional gesture for clearing obstacles and inviting divine blessings. As the newly anointed yati entered the royal assembly, with a gentle smile gracing his face, the scene evoked the memories of the legendary sage Vashishta entering the court of King Dasharatha. The sacred steps of the newly anointed ascetic, resembling the soft red glow of the rising sun, illuminating the royal assembly with a divine radiance, signifying the dawn of a new spiritual era. His presence was like the divine descent of an enlightened soul, heralding the upliftment of noble beings. As Sri Venkatanatha ascended to the Paramahamsa order, his glorious figure was pursued as the friction of the 45 years of unbroken penance of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu materializing in divine form. With a majestic and dignified gait, the young Yati, versed in the Vedas and all sacred scriptures, exuded an aura of auspiciousness. As he walked gracefully, accompanied by devoted disciples, his serene gaze spread divine blessings throughout the grand assembly. Draped in saffron robes, carrying the sacred staff danda and water vessels kamandalu, with urdhrapundra, that is sacred vertical markings on his forehead, and adored with a tulsi mala, that is holy basil beads, the new ascetic manifested the very embodiment of renunciation. His glorious presence, divine charisma, majestic demeanor, unparalleled radiance, and profound wisdom captured the hearts and eyes of all the assembled noble souls. The serene countenance of the holy saint, gleaming with the fiery brilliance of the rising sun, the luster of gold, and the soothing radiance of moonlight, evoked profound spiritual joy in the assembly, sending waves of bliss throughout the gathering of devotees and scholars, thus captivating the hearts and minds of all noble souls. The newly initiated Yati ascended the great ceremonial stage and prostrated reverently at the lotus feet of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu. After Ramachandra Acharya and the monastery priest had also ascended the stage, in accordance with tradition, the ritual proceedings had to be conducted in seclusion. The golden staff bearing gatekeepers then drew the ceremonial curtains around the main stage. Following the instructions of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, the monastic priest performed the ceremonial Gurupada Puja, that is sacred foot washing ritual. The newly anointed Yati then, as per tradition, performed the sacred foot ablution of Sri Madhvacharya symbolically, followed by that of his Guru, Shri Sudhindra Tirtharu. After purifying the Guru's feet in a silver basin, he collected the sacred water, that is Padatirtha, in a golden vessel, first offering it to his Guru and then sprinkled it upon himself. Subsequently, the new ascetic carefully wiped the Guru's feet with a sacred cloth, chanting the Vedic mantra, Abhivasta, that is one who is well clothed or well adored, Suvasana, those who are beautifully dressed or well attired, Rushabhi Deno, possibly referring to a powerful or leading sage, rishi or spiritual leader, Subhaga, fortunate, blessed or auspicious ones, Prayamanaha, those who are advancing or proceeding towards something holy or divine, Abhichandraha, relating to the moon or celestial illumination, Vartamano, existing or being present, Hiranyachag, that is golden, perhaps referring to a sacrificial ritual involving a golden element, Rathino, charioteers, warriors or leaders, Devasomaha, Soma, the divine nectar or offering associated with the gods. He draped a sacred shawl over the Guru's shoulder. Taking a golden platter filled with fruits and flower garlands, he recited, Yam Falanidyaham Afala Apushtayascha Pushyani Brahaspatihi Prasuta Sthano Manchatvat Gasaha. May those fruits that are unripened, fruitless, and flower or flowerless, which have been created by Brahaspati, be released from us as imperfections or obstacles, and presented it to his Guru's offering. After the Guru touched the sacred platter, the newly anointed Yati placed a garland around his Guru's neck and performed the sacred arti with golden lamps, waving them in reverence at Guru's sacred feet. And as the scholars chanted, O Sudarshana, the great blazing wheel, shining like millions of suns, forever dispel the blinding darkness of ignorance and show the path of righteousness. O Panchajanya, the divine couch of Sri Krishna, born of the ocean, destroyer of sins, protect me, a sinner, who is drowning in the dreadful ocean of worldly existence. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu then bestowed upon his beloved disciple the sacred initiation by imprinting the fiery marks of Sudarshana Chakra and Panchajanya Shanka on both his shoulders. With supreme bliss filling his heart, the newly anointed ascetic approached his guru Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu with humility and devotion. Holding a sacred twig, that is Samit, in his hands, he knelt on his right knee and with a reverential tone he recited, Prayastacho Jagannatha Guru Samsaravana Dagdam Mam Kaladashtam Cha Twamaham Sharanam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Parhinoti Tasyaha Taham Devatma Buddhi Prakasham Mukshawai Sharanamaham Prapadhe. O Supreme Lord, O Guru, the forest of samsara, that is worldly existence, had scorched me with its flames, and am tormented by the venom of time and death. Helpless, I seek refuge in you. Protect me, the one who at the very beginning of creation created the four-faced Brahma and imparted the Vedas to him, the Supreme Being, the illuminator of self-knowledge, the one endowed with the divine play and transcendental attributes. To him, I surrender as a seeker of liberation. Then, grasping the feet of his guru, he pleaded, Adihi Bhagavo Brahma, O Venerable Guru, the knower of the origins and dissolution of creation, of the coming and goings of the five elements, of knowledge and ignorance, of that which is eternal and which is perishable. Please impart to me the supreme knowledge of Brahman, which is endowed with the six divine appearances of prosperity, strength, fame, wisdom, knowledge, and detachment. At the auspicious hour determined by the scholars of Jyotishya, that is Vedic astrology, and confirmed by Guru's divine insight, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, with a heart filled with divine joy, prepared for the sacred ritual. As the assembly of the learned scholars chanted the Vedic hymns, the Guru, deeply meditating upon Sri Moolarama, Vedavyasaru, and Sri Madhvacharyaru, consecrated a sacred conch, that is Shanka, filled with purified water by reciting 12 sacred pranavas, that is Omkaras. Then sprinkled the sanctified water upon his disciple. He recited the Shanti mantra, that is hymns for peace, Shamno Mitra Varunaha, that is, may Mitra and Varuna, the divine deities, bless us with peace and well-being. He then placed his right palm over the disciple's right palm, and while chanting the Purusha Sukta, he placed his hand upon the disciple's heart, saying, Mama Vrute Hrudayam Te Dadami. I bestow my heart, my resolve, and my vows unto you. Then with divine intent, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu whispered the sacred Pranava mantra, that is Omkara, into his disciple's right ear, a privilege so rare that even celestial beings could not attain it. Following this, he initiated his disciple into the sacred lineage of divine mantras, Hamsa, Haigriva, Vyasa, Rama, Narahari, Krishna, Dhanvantari, Narayana, and Vasudeva mantras, Sri, Hanuman, Bhima, and Madhva mantras. He then taught the disciple the 64 traditional arts and formally introduced him to the study of Vedanta Mimamsa, beginning with Om Om Athatho Brahmajijnanasa Om. Now, therefore, the enquiry into Brahman begins, and culminating in Om Anavrittihi Shabdhan Anavrittihi Shabdat Om. There is no return to the cycle of birth and death, for the realized soul, for the scriptures declare it so. Then Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu imparted the meditative hymns for the deities enshrined in Sri Madhvacharya's lineage, Sri Moolarama, Sri Digvijayarama, Sri Jayarama, finally bestowing the consecrated rice Phalamantrakshita upon his disciple's head. The Guru raised his divine hands, tears of joy welled in his eyes, and blessed him wholeheartedly. As the curtains were drawn open, the assembled scholar erupted in a thunderous recitation of the Vedas. The victory conches sounded, bells resounded, and the royal court resounded with cries of triumph. With great reverence, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu grasped the hands of his beloved disciple, leading him towards the Digvijaya Vidya Simhasana, the throne of Vedanta sovereignty, where he was to be formally anointed. Seated upon the throne of transcendental wisdom, the newly anointed Yati closed his eyes, meditating upon the divine lineage of Sri Moolarama, Sri Vedavyasa, Sri Madhvacharyaru, and the unbroken parampara of gurus leading up to Sri Padmanabha Tirtharu and Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu. Thus, the light of pure wisdom now illuminated the throne of Vedanta as Sri Venkatanatha ascended to the glorious spiritual domination of Sri Madhvacharya's lineage. Then, the authorities of Sri Matha made a formal announcement. Now, the revered Guru Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu will bestow a new name upon his beloved disciple. The newly anointed ascetic and enthroned him upon the great Dvaita Samrajya Vidya Simhasana, that is throne of Vedanta sovereignty, with a grand coronation, blessing him with divine authority. Upon hearing this, the entire assembly stood up in excitement and reverenced, joining their hands in devotion, anticipation to witness this sacred ceremony. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, while addressing the gathering, elaborated on the profound significance of the name that had been revealed to him in divine dream by Sri Moola Raghupati, that is Sri Rama, and Sri Vedavyasaru and Sri Madhvacharyaru. He explained that the name chosen would eradicate all misfortunes and sins, grant fulfillment of all noble desires, and shine forth with radiance of divine grace. Then he bestowed the supreme auspicious name upon his worthy disciple, inspired by the glory of Lord Rama, the jewel of Raghunatha dynasty, and by Sri Hanuman, the avatara of Vayudeva, the supreme embodiment of devotion, wisdom, and strength. Thus, the newly anointed ascetic was honored with the name Shri Raghavendra Tirtharu Sripadangalavaru. With deep affection and with divine authority, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu showered his disciple with immense blessings and proclaimed, "May this beloved disciple of ours, Shri Raghavendra Tirtharu Sripadangalavaru, become the master of all divine and material wealth, just like Kubera, the lord of inexhaustible treasuries. May he radiate auspiciousness like Sri Rama, the supreme source of universal welfare. Like the rivers of Sri Rama's compassion, may he be ever dedicated to the upliftment of the world. May he be a master of meditative worship, supremely independent in all scriptural knowledge, and the emperor among ascetic, just as Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu was. May he dispel the darkness of false doctrines like the sun that destroys ignorance, and may he nourish the lotus of Vaishnava Dharma, becoming a beacon of wisdom and spiritual radiance. May he be an unmatched scholar, well versed in over 400 advanced scriptural compositions, shining as the unparalleled moon of the Vedanta emperor. Like our revered Guru Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, may he be adored with impeccable renown, just as the lion effortlessly subdues a rogue elephant. May he crush the arrogance of the heretical thinkers, and may he stand as the foremost debater in philosophical battles, effortlessly defeating the opponents of truth. Like Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, may he be a master of Vedic dialectics, a compassionate guide for humanity, and a guardian of eternal wisdom. May our exalted disciple Sri Raghavendra Tirtha Sripadangalavaru prosper immensely in all divine pursuits. Overwhelmed with divine joy, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu's eyes filled with tears as he lovingly embraced his disciple, blessing him wholeheartedly. The assembly erupted in celebration, glorifying the ascension of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu to the throne of Dvaita Vedanta. Thus, in the hallowed tradition of Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu was now formally coronated as a supreme beacon of wisdom, devotion, and ascetic authority, destined to guide countless souls towards spiritual enlightenment. Following this, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu placed a golden platter on the head of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, Sri Padangalawaru, containing the idols of Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, and Sri Vedavyasaru, along with the Saligrama idols and Acharya's icons. Sacred lotus flowers, pearls, and 9 precious gems were placed in several conch shells, and with holy water and abhisheka, that is ritual bathing, was performed on the crown of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu as a sacred Purusha Shukta mantra was recited. At the same time, the entire assembly of scholars and devotees reverently chanted, Bhagavan said, O mighty armed one, listen again to my supreme words when I shall speak for your benefit as you are dear to me, Bhagavad Gita. They also recited the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which begins, Ashwatha tree, with its roots above and branches below, its leaves are the Vedic hymns, and one who knows this tree is truly a knower of the Vedas. Further, the episode from Sri Sumadhavijaya was read aloud, narrating how Sri Achyutapreksha Acharya coronated Sri Madhvacharya as the emperor of Vedanta knowledge and philosophy. With a resolute mind, Sri Madhvacharya was enthroned by his Guru to rule over the empire of Vedanta, with a divine conscience filled with sacred waters performing the Abhisheka. As these rituals unfolded, a majestic atmosphere filled the royal court. Vedic hymns reverberated throughout the grand assembly. Musical instruments such as drums, trumpets, conches, and cymbals resounded in unison. Haridasa devotees joyously danced and sang in praise of Sri Hari. Court musicians rendered melodious songs in divine ragas. Veena, flute, and mridanga players performed with great skill. Devotees showered flowers and sacred grains upon Sri Raghavendra Gurugulu, celebrating his coronation. The assembled Brahmin scholars enthusiastically chanted victory slogans. The royal cannon batteries of the Tanjavur palace fired 31 rounds, signifying the imperial coronation of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. The sounds of chanting, music, and celebration merged into one, reverberating across the 10 directions, seemingly piercing the very sky. With supreme joy, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, on the auspicious day of Falguna Shukla Dvitiya, that is March 1621 CE, in the Shalivana Shaka, year 1543, formally installed Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu as the sovereign empire of the Dvaita Vedanta empire and blessed him abundantly. He commanded, Beloved disciple, in the future, when the time is right, you must select and initiate a worthy successor to the sacred throne in the great lineage of Sri Madhvacharya and continue the divine tradition of the Matha, that is monastic order, bringing glory to this esteemed institution. With humble reverence, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu bowed and replied, I accept the sacred command of my Guru with utmost devotion. Then, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu ceremoniously handed over to Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu the sacred relics and scriptures of the Matha, including the revered silver casket containing the Matha's chief deities, Sri Moolarama, Sri Digvijayarama, Sri Jayarama, two Vyasamushtika, that is sacred fists of Vyasa, Ratnagarbha Saligrama, that is sacred stone with divine energy, Balamuri Shankha, that is auspicious conch, the treasured silver chest containing the entire scriptural collection of the Matha, symbols of monastic and royal authority, white royal umbrella, Sweta Chakra, the holy insignia of Aptagiri. Chauris and peacock fans, that is Chamara. A golden palanquin, that is Suvarna Paliki. The golden elephant howdah, that is Suvarna Ambari. Ornate fan, that is Mene. Daylight lamps, handheld golden lamps, Karadipa. Four types of divine musical instruments, sacred battle trumpets like Shankha, Dwaja, Bheri, Dhaka, and Kahale. Four golden and silver staffed bearers, Suvarna Rajata Dandadharis. Two golden lion faced sculptures bearers, Simhamukha Alankruta Suvarna Dandadharis. Talastuti reciters, royal bards, that is Madhima and Magadha groups. Thus, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu ascended to the illustrious throne of Vedanta, holding divine and regal authority, destined to shine eternally in the annals of spiritual history. As the royal insignia was presented, the respective bearers of these honors stepped forward in front of the grand throne, bowed reverently, and then moved aside. When the white umbrella and fly whisks, that is Sweta Chakra Chamara, were brought, King Raghunatha Nayaka and Tirumala Nayaka themselves waved two fly whisks to honor the new Jagadguru before bowing to him. The palanquin and elephant howdah were ceremoniously brought forward, and the bearers bowed before the Guru before departing. A silver staffed ceremonial lamp bearer stepped onto the royal platform and, holding up the silver handled torch, offered salutations. A bearer of the golden and silver staffed lanterns climbed onto the stage, raised his hand, and solemnly proclaimed, Parak, Parak, a declaration of reverence and victory. Similarly, the golden and silver sculpture bearers, stepping forward, bowed deeply and proclaimed loudly, Parak, Parak, Swami Parak. The court musicians, Talastuti reciters, and Vedic scholars also stepped forward in reverence, offering their honors. The two royal bards, Vandhi and Magadha reciters, stood on either side of the royal dais, folded their hands, and proclaimed the Guru's grand title, Victory, Victory, to the most exalted Paramahamsa, Parivrajakacharya, master of the boundless ocean of Vedic scriptures and philosophical wisdom, supreme authority in Yama, that is self-restraint, Niyama, that is observance, Asana, that is posture, Pranayama, that is breath control, Pratyahara, that is withdrawal, Dhyana, that is meditation, Dharana, that is concentration, and Samadhi, that is absolute absorption in the divine. Illustrious Acharya of the six orthodox schools of Indian philosophy, sovereign emperor of all sacred knowledge, Vidya Chakravartin, absolute master of all branches of knowledge, Sarvatantra Swatantra, supreme scholar of the 64 divine arts, a veritable five-headed lion to the intoxicated white elephants of heretical philosophies, emperor upon the exalted Vyakhyana Simhasana, that is throne of commentary and discourse, eternal protector and re-establisher of the authentic Vedic and Vaishnava Siddhanta, a thousand-rayed sun dispersing the deep darkness of heretical ignorance, great spiritual guide of all theistic traditions, presiding pontiff of the divine wisdom seat established by Sri Madhvacharya, sovereign pontiff of Sri Madhvacharya's supreme monastic institution, most revered guru of the Dvaita school of Vedanta, torchbearer of the exalted lineage of Sri Kavindra Yati Pungava, presiding over the illustrious southern monastic throne, universal spiritual teacher of the entire earth, foremost jewel among all ascetic orders, revered by all sacred Vedic practitioners, custodian of the grand eternal spiritual tradition, indomitable protector of Sanatana Dharma, supreme devotee of the Bhagavata tradition, emanation of Sri Madhvacharya's divine wisdom, a disciple nurtured by the hands of Sri Sudhinda Tirtharu, revered by emperors and kings, the lotus feet of whom are worshipped by the mighty monarchs of the world, the illustrious and all-conquering Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu Sarvabhauma, Jai Jai, Parak, Swami Parak, Bahuparak. The assembled congregation, overwhelmed with divine joy, echoed their proclamation in one unified voice, Jai Jaya, Srimad Raghavendra Guru Sarvabhauma. Upon hearing this grand proclamation, the supremely resplendent Guru Sarvabhauma, adored with incomparable beauty and divine radiance, raised his Abhayahasta, that is hand, in blessing, offering assurance and protection to all devotees. With half-closed eyes, he seated himself in Padmasana, that is lotus posture, upon the grand golden throne of knowledge, that is Vidya Simhasana. His majestic form, embodying unparalleled wisdom, austerity, and divine grace, shone forth like the rising sun of spiritual enlightenment. He gracefully accepted the unmatched grandeur and royal insignias, but in his heart he offered everything at the lotus feet of Srihari. Seated on the divine throne, the Guru, who was like the wish-fulfilling Mandhara tree for those seeking refuge, shone like the full moon, illuminating devotees with his compassionate gaze. With his infinite ascetic energy, he dispelled the darkness of ignorance and granted blessings of prosperity and well-being to all seekers. Just as Prahlada Maharaja was seated upon the royal lion throne, so did this supreme Yatipungava, that is exalted ascetic, radiate divine splendor on the exalted Simhapita, that is lion throne of knowledge and Vedanta. Ah, the rising sun of India's fortune has emerged. The protector of philosophy, dharma, justice, ethics, and tradition has descended upon earth. The coronation of Sri Raghavendra Guru Sarvabhauma has marked the beginning of a new age of spiritual enlightenment in India. Endowed with the special presence of the fivefold Sri Hari, this great saint, the combined incarnation of Sri Prahlada, Sri Vyasa, and Sri Valmiki, has now been anointed as the sovereign ruler of Vedanta. His ascendancy to the supreme monastic throne signifies a divine blessings upon the world, ushering in peace, prosperity, and spiritual upliftment for countless generations. With Abhaya, that is gesture of protection, and Varada, that is gesture of blessings, hands, the Yativarya seated himself on the lion throne of Vedantic wisdom, as if declaring his intent to shower grace upon the distressed, the scholars, and the devoted alike. Tribute from the kingdoms of Mysore, Madurai, and Tanjavur, representatives from the Kannada Empire and the Mysore royal court offered a ceremonial white umbrella, Sveta Chhatra, a royal insignia, Rajochita Khillattu, gold and precious jewels to the new Jagadguru as a mark of reverence. The ruler of Madurai, Tirumala Nayaka, stepped forward, bowed deeply, and placed his tributes in a golden platter before the Guru. Finally, King Raghunatha Bhupala himself approached, bowed with his head touching the ground, and performed a Rathabhisheka, that is ritualistic anointment with jewels, for the new Jagadguru. At that moment, the sound of ceremonial drums, that is Rahu Ketu Vadya, filled the air, while a grand silver palanquin, red canopies, and royal insignias were bestowed upon Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. The Rathabhisheka of Raghunatha Bhumendra was reminiscent of earlier historic coronations, when the Karnataka Emperor Krishnadevaraya, King Rajaraja, and Emperor Venkatapati Maharaja performed jewel and gold anointment ceremonies of Sri Vyasaraja Tirtharu, Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, and Sri Sudhinda Tirtharu. Tribute from scholars, ministers, and poets. Ministers and commanders from Tanjore presented tributes to the new Jagadguru. Yagna Narayana Dikshita on behalf of the royal court and Ramachandra Acharya and Lakshmi Narsimha Acharya on behalf of Sri Mata scholars offered gifts and reverent obeisance. The poet laureate Krishna Yajju, along with Vaidika, that is, Vedic scholars, Dharma purifiers, and lay devotees, offered gifts and prayers to the Guru. Those who witnessed this divine celebration in person were truly blessed and fortunate. Upon witnessing the divine coronation, poets and scholars extolled the Guru's unparalleled wisdom, devotion, asceticism, and divine grace in spontaneous hymns. The first among them to speak was King Raghunatha Bhupala, a great patron of scholars and an accomplished poet himself. Ascending the royal dais, he recited the following Sanskrit verse: Kava Vishnu Hrudabaga Kurupate Mritram Chakim Tatvataha Ko Varshat Twamalam Jayam Kaliyuge Ko Vanchiteshtu Pradaha Artham Kim Vidanasya Yuyotsaratha Koka Brha Pushabha Pujyaha Kottara Pratamaksha Rayuta Madhva Pithadipa. The verse by King Raghunatha Bhupala is a very clever written poem that asks 7 questions, with the first letter of their answer forming the name Shri Raghavendra Yogi, signifying his coronation as the Jagat Guru of the Madhvapita. The 7 questions and answers: who resides in the heart lotus of Vishnu? Answer: Sri Rama. Ra. Who is the friend of Duryodhana? Answer: Radhe, that is Karna. What pours down pure water? Answer: clouds. Ghana. Ga. Who is bestower of desired wishes in the Kaliyuga? Answer: Venkatesha. Way. Who is the most desired by the poor? Answer: wealth. Dravinaha, that is the. Who is Brahma's wife? Answer: Saraswati. Yo. Who is the supreme preceptor of the Madhvapita? Answer: Guru. Girvani, that is Gi. When we take the first letter of each answers, they form the name Shri, Ra, Gha, Ven, Dra, Yo, Gi. Thus, King Raghunatha Bhupala cleverly used this riddle poem to reveal the newly anointed Guru's name, Sri Raghavendra Yatindra, the successor of the Madhvapita. When the king explained the meaning of the verse, the scholars and assembly erupted in joyous acclamation, showering praises upon him for his poetic brilliance. Following this, the great poet of Tanjavur, Mahakavi Krishna Yajja, a disciple of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, recited an extraordinary verse extolling the greatness of Sri Raghavendra Yatindra, which means Sri Raghavendra Yatindra has demolished the 7-fold doctrine of the Jain philosopher Arhat. He destroys the many speculative doctrines of the Buddhist. He refutes the foundational theories of Kannada's Vaisheshika philosophy and Aksapada Nyaya system. He shatters the ethical principles of Kamandaka's Niti Shastra. He exposes the fallacies of Kapila Muni's Sankhya philosophy. As a supreme scholar of Dvaita Vedanta, he establishes its truth with clarity and strength. With deep reverence, Mahakavi Krishna Yajja's tribute enthralled the entire assembly, highlighting the Guru's unmatched intellect, devotion, and ascetic rigor. After the tributes by previous scholars and poets, Lakshmi Narsimhacharya, a great scholar from Madurai royal court, praised Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu with the following verses. Praises by Lakshmi Narsimhacharya, which means, you, O Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, are renowned for your profound commentaries and discourses. Your mercy uplifts the community of devoted seekers. You possess extraordinary mastery over the Vedas, Vedangas, and 6 philosophical schools. Shadarshanaгаಳು. The Shadarshanas refer to the six classic schools of Hindu philosophy which interrupt and systematize Vedic knowledge. Each school has a unique principle and methodologies, yet they all share a common Vedic foundation. Number one, Nyaya, logic and epistemology. Founder, sage Gautama. Focus, logic, that is Tarka, reasoning, and epistemology, that is means of knowledge. Key concept, valid means of knowledge. Pratyaksha, that is perception. Anumana, that is inference. Upamana, comparison. Shabda, verbal testimony. Text, Nyaya Sutras. Number two, Vaisheshika, that is atomism and metaphysics. Founder, sage Kannada. Focus, ontology. Categorization of reality, atomic theory. Key concept, everything in the universe is composed of paramanus, that is atoms. Text, Vaisheshika Sutra. Number three, Sankhya, that is enumeration and dualism. Founder, sage Kapila. Focus, cosmology. Enumeration of principles, that is tattvas. Key concept, dualism, that is Dvaita, of Purusha, consciousness, and Prakriti, matter. Text, Sankhya Karika by Ishvara Krishna. Number four, Yoga, discipline and spiritual practice. Founder, sage Patanjali. Focus, self-discipline, mind control, meditation, that is dhyana, liberation, that is moksha. Key concept, Ashtanga Yoga, that is eightfold path. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Text, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Number five, Purva Mimamsa, ritualistic interpretation of Vedas. Founder, sage Jaimini. Focus, dharma, righteous duty, Vedic rituals, that is Karma Kanda. Key concept, karma, action is supreme. Moksha, liberation is secondary. Text, Mimamsa Sutras. Number six, Vedanta, Upanishadic philosophy and moksha. Founder, sage Vyasa, that is Badri Narayana. Focus, Brahmana, ultimate reality, liberation, moksha, Upanishads. Key concept, three major sub-schools. Advaita Vedanta, that is non-dualism, that is Shankaracharya. Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, that is qualified non-dualism, Ramanujacharya. Dvaita Vedanta, dualism, Madhvacharya. Text, Brahma Sutras, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. Like Lord Rama, you shine with matchless grandeur and deep wisdom. You stand as a beacon of knowledge, seated upon the very lineage of the divine Madhva Parampara. Who else other than you can be considered a treasury house of virtues? None. The gathering of scholars were deeply moved by this poetic tribute, and they expressed their admiration with loud applause. Another great scholar, Veera Raghavacharya, compared Sri Raghavendra's coronation to the glorious times of Shri Vyasaraja Tirtharu and King Krishnadevaraya. He praised. The meaning of that is, in the past, Sri Vyasaraja adored the Ratna Simhasana of Karnataka. He was honored with the Ratnabhisheka, coronation with gems, by King Krishnadevaraya. Today, Sri Raghavendra Yatindra, possessing unmatched glory, is receiving similar honors from King Raghunatha Bhupala. This is a moment of great wonder and divine significance. The assembly erupted in celebration, recognizing the poetic parallel drawn between Sri Vyasaraja Tirtharu and Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. But the poet Shambhudasa glorified Sri Raghavendra's scholarly acumen and commitment to the Dvaita philosophy. His verse, which means Sri Raghavendra is highly skilled in the art of philosophical debates. He is like the supreme swan swimming in the pristine lake of Madhva Tattvavada. He is ever dedicated to preserving the doctrine of dualism, that is Dvaita. May his wisdom and influence continue to flourish. Another poet, Ramacharya Kavi, beautifully compared Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's spiritual service to the legendary guru-disciple bond between Madhvacharya and Vyasa. His verse, which means, just as Sri Madhvacharya once served Sri Badri Narayana Vasudeva at Badrikashrama, so now does Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu shine with the service and devotion of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. This beautiful analogy further solidified Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's spiritual lineage as an unbroken connection to the Vyasa and Madhva. A female poet from the royal court, Madhuravani, composed an elegant verse elevating Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu to the stature of Indra, the king of gods. she sang a verse which means, Sri Raghavendra, like the Lord Indra, is seated on the divine white elephant Airavata. His mission is to protect the three worlds, Lokarakshaka. He is nurtured and elevated by the guidance of his guru, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu. This comparison to Indra symbolizes Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's supreme authority and divine duty in preserving the Madhva Sampradaya. Each of these verses, tributes, and poetic composition showcase how Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu was seen as the ultimate beacon of knowledge, devotion, and spiritual leaderships. The scholars, poets, and philosophers of the time honored him as a master of Vedanta, a defender of Dvaita philosophy, a supreme preceptor in the Madhva lineage, a spiritual guide for the three worlds. The entire assembly erupted in joyous celebration, applauding the coronation of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu as the Jagat Guru of the Madhvapita. After the previous poetic tributes, more poets continued to praise Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's divine stature and his coronation as a Jagat Guru of the Madhva Sampradaya. The poetess Madhuravani compared Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's ascension to the throne to the divine rule of Indra, meaning, just as Indra, the protector of the three worlds, sits gloriously upon Airavata, the divine elephant, by the grace of Upendra, that is Lord Vishnu, Krishna, similarly, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, nurtured by Upendra like Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, now ascends the Madhvapita to protect the three worlds. The golden palanquin carrying Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu symbolizes his majestic authority over spiritual wisdom. This grand metaphor signifies how Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's reign is divinely ordained. A second poetess, Ramabhadrambha, sang in the praise of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's role as the guiding light of Vedanta. The meaning of a verse: he is the lord of the six philosophical systems. As the protector of Madhva doctrine, he is the supreme guru, Sarvabhauma. He is the luminous guide to the path of liberation, that is Moksha Marga. May the divine darshan, sight of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, bless us with all four Purushastras, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Her verse beautifully encapsulated the spiritual and philosophical supremacy of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. Another renowned scholars, Kulashekara Bhattacharya, likened Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu to legendary spiritual figures. He sang a verse which means, in devotion to Lord Narsimha, he is like Sri Prahlada. In wisdom and knowledge, he is like Sri Vyasaraja Tirtharu. His fame and ascetic glory illuminate the Madhva throne. He sits victorious as Jagat Guru, like a divine gift to humanity. This verse emphasizes Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu's embodiment of devotion, wisdom, renunciation, and spiritual authority. Finally, Sri Narayanacharya, a brilliant young poet and devotee, offered his tearful tribute. He sang a verse which means, those who daily worship the lotus feet of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu receives his boundless compassion. They master all knowledge and attain the highest auspiciousness, that is Mangala. They trump over adversaries in philosophical debates and elevate the prestige of Vedic wisdom. Their fame shines across the world, fulfilling all their desires. This is divine truth, undeniable and eternal. This moving tribute, delivered with a deep reverence and emotion, left the entire assembly in awe and admiration. Final reflections. These verses capture the profound admiration and devotion that scholars, poets, and devotees felt towards Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. His ascension as Jagat Guru was not merely a ceremonial event, but a divine moment in history, symbolizing a new era of spiritual guidance and enlightenment. Through his wisdom, devotion, and renunciation, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu was recognized as the spiritual protector of the three worlds, Trilokarakshaka, akin to Indra himself. The entire assembly erupted in joy, celebrating the dawn of a new age of Vedantic enlightenment under Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. After the grand coronation, Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu was honored and glorified by scholars, poets, and devotees. The entire assembly erupted in joy, chanting praises of the new Jagadguru. The gifts of wealth and honor. The new Jagadguru displayed great generosity by distributing the gold, jewels, and treasuries offered to him by the kings among scholars, poets, and artists. This act of munificence further cemented his reputation as a scholar-loving, noble-hearted Guru. The first discourse of the Guru. Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu then delivered his first discourse, filled with profound wisdom. He reaffirmed the doctrine of Vishnu's supreme status, Vishnu Sarvottama, following the direct command of Madhvacharya, Vishnu Sarvottamattvam cha sarvada pratipadaya, always established the supreme status of Lord Vishnu. His words flowed like the sacred Ganga, immersing the audience in divine knowledge. The gathering of kings, ministers, scholars, and devotees listened in reverence and joy, affirming their faith in Madhva Vedanta. The grand procession. Following his discourse, King Raghunatha Bhupala requested Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu to bless the people of the kingdom. The Jagadguru ascended a beautifully decorated royal elephant and led a grand procession through the streets of Tanjavur. Thousands of people thronged the streets, seeking his darshan, that is, holy sights. Musicians played victory tunes, while soldiers and devotees chanted his name. At the end of the procession, he returned to the monastery, that is Sri Matha, where Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu welcomed him with great honor. The first worship and celebrations at the Matha. Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu performed his first Matha Puja, worshipping Sri Mula Ramachandra with deep devotion. His intensity in worship, his divine absorption in meditation, and his love for Sri Hari left everyone awestruck. Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu witnessed his disciples' devotion was overwhelmed with joy beyond words. After the worship, thousands of devotees were served Mahaprasada, and massive donations were given to Brahmins and Sumangalis, that is, auspicious women. 3 days of scholarly and cultural celebrations. For 3 days, a massive Vedanta festival was held to mark the occasion of the coronation. Each day was filled with scholarly debates, Vyakarta, Vicharagoshti, discourses by great Panditas, music, bhajans, and Harikatha, Kavita Sparda, that is poetry competition, Ashtavadana and Satavadana, literary displays of intelligence. On the final day, Falguna Shukla Chaturthi, a grand conclusion ceremony was held. Honors and recognition by the kings. The king of Tanjavur personally honored the scholars, poets, and musicians. Lavish gifts were distributed, including gold, silver, and silk garments, precious jewels and ornaments, royal titles to prominent individuals. The highest honor, a title for King Raghunatha Bhupala, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, in recognition of King Raghunatha Bhupala's devotion and support, bestowed upon him the title Sadharma Vidvajjanashraya, that is, protector of dharma and scholars. The ceremonial title is given in the presence of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, who blessed the king with a Amritahasta, that is, a divine touch of nectar-like grace. Conclusion of the grand coronation festival. Thus, the magnificent coronation, Vedanta Samrajya Abhisheka, was complete successfully in the most glorious and spiritual, uplifting and grand manner. It marked the beginning of a new golden era in Dvaita Vedanta under the leadership of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. The historic event ensured that Sri Madhva Siddhanta would flourish. True Vedanta would be protected, devotion and wisdom would prosper, and so began the legendary Guru Shishya Parampara, leading to the eternal glory of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu, the saint of Mantralaya. On the following day, Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, along with his beloved disciple Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu and the entire Matha entourage, bid farewell to King Raghunatha Bhupala and set forth on the spiritual victory tour, that is Digvijaya, towards Kumbhakona. Upon their arrival in Kumbhakona, the entire city, along with the temples and devotees, greeted the new Jagadguru with grand honors. Priests, citizens, and devotees welcomed Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu with sacred ceremonial offerings, the race Purna Kumbha. The streets resonated with victory chants and instrumental music. Banners and royal insignias adorned the pathways. A grand palanquin, that is Suvarna Palaki, carried the Guru in a magnificent procession throughout the city. Men and women of all ages gathered to catch a glimpse of the radiant Guru, showering flowers upon him and offering joyous salutations. The procession culminated at a prestigious Vidyamata, where Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu was ceremoniously installed as the new Pitadipati, that is Pontiff. Thus, with the divine splendor and profound reverence, the spiritual sovereignty of Madhva tradition continued under the illustrious leadership of Sri Raghavendra Tirtharu. Hari Om. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Pujjaya Raghavendraya Satyadharma Rachaya Bhajatam Kalpurukshaya Namatam Kamadhenave.